What's up, everybody? Cameron Foos here with FoosAlerts.com. Today is October 18th, Tuesday. Just want to go over the trades live from Fous TV this morning, where we do a free broadcast every Tuesday morning for about an hour to 2 hours, depending on how the market's looking, where you can come watch us trade live every day. So I just want to go over the trades from today's free trade session. The two trades of the day were BBEPQ and Netflix. We call this the barbecue stock. It's actually an energy company, so it's been kind of following oil. We've actually traded this before. We shorted this thing when this thing did get delisted to the OTC market. So this is now actually trading on the OTC market. 2005 through about 2007, I was really hot on trading OTCs, and I haven't been trading these things for years. There's been a lot of new changes and regulations involved with the OTC markets, and they're just not very safe places to trade stocks. But lately, there have been some recent pickups in volume and volatility in the OTC market, which is kind of surprising. It just kind of happened just recently. So there is still some opportunities. You can see this thing went from this was actually in a Fous4 revival breakout pattern. Check out some of my other videos on how to trade breakouts. We just did an explanation of the revival pattern. We'll put a link into it below. But you can see this thing just ripped from about 7 to 8 cents all the way up to about 57 cents. So that's a massive gain to potentially be able to take advantage of. We actually shorted this last week on this dip here, made some a little over $1,000 on that trade, and then I was just in Mexico from Friday through Monday, so I actually missed these 2 days of these two huge volatile days. But we did take advantage of this morning and took advantage of a 20% drop on barbecue. So let's take a look at the stock here and look at my entries and exits and exactly why I did that. So when we're looking at stocks, resistance and support levels, whole numbers become a very significant level where stocks are going to find support or resistance, and it kind of just goes by tens. So, and the smaller you get, it would be 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, even 50 cents, because that's kind of half of upwards towards a dollar. That's a significant zone. $1 is also a significant zone, a very, very significant area, which we call a gold pattern that I teach in the Fous4 training program. But I was hoping for what we call an over under short, and that's where a stock gaps open over above a resistance level and it's kind of a fake out and starts dropping back. So that's exactly what I took advantage of today on BBEQ. You see this thing closed at about 46.5 cents yesterday. It opened right up about that 50-cent mark, which is kind of a significant area. So I was hoping to see kind of a gap to crap from there. So I added 17,500 shares on barbecue at about 49.5. I actually tried to get a full 30,000. I didn't get filled. With these OTC stocks, your fills are not going to be quite as easy as on a normal stock. So a lot of times you have to direct route on these, but when you do direct route, you're going to pay a lot more in ECN fees or routing fees. I actually took the route of ARCA, ARCA, but you have to pay if you're not trading on the opposite end of level 2, you have to pay a pretty hefty fee of 0.003 cents per share. So if you look at my actual ECN fees just for trading BBEPQ today, my commissions weren't that much, but my ECN fees, my per share cost of this at the end of the day was $264 just to get in and out of this stock. So it's pretty hefty, and you have to take that, into account for when you're trading these stocks, especially if you're direct routing through a route like ARCA, but you are going to get a lot quicker fill. When I was just trying to use a limit order, I wasn't getting filled in the stock, but once I just went through a direct route through ARCA, it was almost instantaneous getting in and out of that stock, but you just have to pay a hefty fee to get the better routes through your broker. I use Speed Trader currently right now, but that's what I went for. I went 17,500 shares, 49.5. Once we went from red to green, I actually added at 46.5 another 17,000 shares. So I was in for about 35,500 shares on BBEQ. And from here, this actually got a little bit sketch because I was down here. I was up about $1,000, but then all of a sudden we bounced all the way back. My average was about 47.9, and I was actually negative just briefly here for a second. But a lot of times times when we're looking at a stock that we're shorting, the second round to get in for a second entry is typically around the VWAP. This is on a 1 minute chart here. So when we see that first initial pullback, a lot of times we're going to see that push back up towards the VWAP support area, and this is actually where you want to look for your secondary entry, or maybe even your first entry if you missed that actual opening drop. So I was actually trying to add an additional 10,000 shares at 48 cents. Unfortunately, I did not get filled. OTCs are always a little bit tougher to get filled. They're a little bit less liquid, and the fills just don't come as easy. So unfortunately, I did not get filled that an additional 10,000 shares. But from here, this thing came all the way back down and basically retested again, a whole number. Like I was saying before, whole numbers kind of go in 10. So 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents. And this thing basically bounced right under 40 cents, just briefly dipped down below there, probably took out a bunch of stops with people panicking. And then I actually covered there at between about 42 cents to about 40 cents. I covered all my shares, locking in about $2,500 total on that trade. But with those ECN fees of about $264, it came out to about $2,252 gain here on BBEQ. From here, this thing just ripped all the way back up, almost going green on the day, before actually closing back at 46 cents. So I still think there's downside potential on barbecue. Typically when we see huge runs like this, you're going to see a pullback towards the 13 EMA on the daily chart, which is about 25 cents here. I was thinking, okay, maybe I should just hold on to some shares for a home run trade. But when you see those gains within the first hour, as I always tell everybody, my goal is to make just $1,000 to $2,000 per day in under 1 hour within the first hour of the day. And then I like to walk away and, work on what other kind of stuff I got going on. I don't want to sit on my computer and just try to nitpick stocks all day. I only trade the opens because that's when you see volatility, and that's where the most money is able to be made in a very short amount of time. So I just decided to lock in those gains. I still think barbecue could have potential pullback towards the 13 EMA. So there's still probably another trade left here on barbecue. But for now, taking that $2,200 within the first hour is in a very ideal situation. Next up was Netflix. This was actually something I was looking for a gap to crap here this morning, but just got a little bit hectic. I only went in 500 shares. I was hoping to see this kind of gap. This gap open, see kind of a pullback towards the 13 EMA. A lot of times when you see a huge gap like we saw on Netflix, you're going to see an intraday pullback towards the 13 EMA support right out of the gates. Unfortunately, this is kind of traded sideways. I was hoping to see a crack of the VWAP to the downside, but instead this actually got an F1 breakout from about 118 and ripped all the way up towards 120, so it went the opposite direction I was hoping for. So I just took a small loss, $180. So you can see my total gain on the day was about $2,065 after all my commissions and ECN fees. So like I said, my goal of every day is to make about $1,000 to $2 in under an hour. So I reached my goal today, and that's what we try to do every day at Fous4Team is reach our goals and call it a day within the first hour of trading. If you're interested in learning more about how we do what we do, check out the Fous4 training program. It's 15 hours online, me teaching you everything I've learned about trading stocks in the last about 11, almost 12 years coming up now in the stock market game.